I would like to welcome you back to the fourth episode of View from the Inside, Conversations with the Galena Park ISD SAB. In this episode, the students will have a conversation about the meaning of kindness and the different ways we can all display kindness to others daily. Now I would like to reintroduce you all to the host and co-host of the podcast, Michael Garza and Kennedy Wills, who will lead our discussion today.
Hello, and welcome back to Conversations with SAB. My name is Kennedy Wills, and I attend North Shore Senior High School, and I'm in the 12th grade.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Garza, and I attend the Galena Park Early College High School, and I'm a senior.
And on episode 4, we will be talking about being kind and what kindness means to you. We will have 2 interviews from early college high school students, and we will have 2 more interviews from 2 amazing counselors, Mrs. Moten and Mrs. Marsh. So I first want to ask you, Michael, what does kindness mean to you?
Kindness to me means like reaching out to someone, holding the door for someone if they're like running a little behind, like just wait like a couple of seconds, hold the door for them, make sure they're good, or texting a friend, making sure they're okay if you haven't like texted them like in over a week. Like that matters to some people because that can make a difference.
I think for me, kindness means like going out and serving other people, if that's just a call, a text, if that's going out in the community, if that's serving in your church in some way, some form, or mentoring or being there for someone in some type of way. So I feel like that's what kindness means to me.
Right, like giving back to like the community in a way. Right.
Yeah. So give me an instance or an example or any time that you've shown kindness.
I think the most recent time I showed kindness to someone was when I was working at my job. I bought someone a water bottle because we had just did like 2 big orders. I work at a grocery store, and so whenever we were done, we were both tired. And so I noticed that he was sweaty and like he was a little bit out of breath. And so I got 2 water bottles for me, one for him, and I gave it to him for like nothing, like just to like thank him and be kind.
Good. I think for me, an example of kindness is maybe sometimes when I send encouraging messages. At first, I didn't know how impactful it is because, you know, it'd be long. But when I be sending it and I had stopped for like a while, my friends were like, oh my God, I missed your text. So I'm trying to like get back into it to keep them encouraged and keep them up. And at least they know that I'm thinking about them. Because sometimes people just want to know that you're thinking about them or that they're wanted in some type of way. And so now that we've talked about what kindness means to us and we've given you some examples, we want to hear our first interview from a student from early college named Susie Hernandez.
What does it mean to be kind?
To me, being kind is doing a good deed or just simply having a good heart.
How as a society can we be kinder to each other?
I really think that it's depending on the person that they are kinder. But as a society, I think we can, for example, help the homeless that are out in the streets, cooking food and just delivering it to them. I think as a society, we can do that. And yeah.
If you see an injustice, what would you do to respond?
I think I would think about it first, depending on the cause of the injustice. Talk about it with an adult, of course. But mostly think about it and see cause and effect of the problem.
I think a good point she said was to inform adults. And that goes back to the point that we said with social media, well, bringing up social media, is that so many times people will have negative comments, will say rude things towards other people in their comments. And I think that it's important, and it's very important to a lot of people that you defend or speak up or amplify your voice more.
Right.
Because as I was telling Michael the other day, sometimes we sit back and we allow things to happen and we don't speak up nor educate, nor do we share what we go through or be understanding. We tend to be more judgmental by when somebody does something, we react instead of trying to be there and understand exactly what it is and getting to the source of the problem.
Right. And so social media is such a huge like factor in our everyday lives now. It's normalized like in a way that if we see an injustice happening or if we see negative comments about someone, we're more likely, or sometimes we'll just scroll past that, and we're not supposed to do that. It's not okay because we don't know what the other person is going through at the end of the day.
And also, I think we should make a joke of it. Like, we constantly see it and we laugh at it or we joke at it. And I understand that sometimes it's the miseducation, sometimes it's the not knowing, sometimes it's, oh, I know, but I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I think that we have to be there because whether you know it or not, like even through COVID, we need each other, and we can only bring each other together or help each other to be our very best self and put so much effort forward to stand up. And like even when she said giving in the community, it doesn't have to be just homeless. It could be your family. It could be anyone. So I think that that's really super duper important.
And like how it's not necessarily doesn't have to be your community, but like maybe like you go home, make dinner for your family or something. Like you don't know what your family is even going through. So I think even that small act of kindness, like where if it's dinner, like it'll be like really good for you and everyone else.
And don't take the random acts of kindness very lightly. Even though they're small, they can be small things that accumulate to big things. And when people see that you're doing the small things or you're trying to be patient to, guess for them to, because if you give someone something, you usually want them to give something back.
Right.
So sometimes I feel like the more small things that you do, the more it accumulates to where you're trying to go in your friendships or where you're trying to go in your success or where you're trying to go in any level as possible. And like even through online, you know how teachers go through a lot and they deal with so much, like trying to be there for them too, trying to be there and checking on their mental health.
Right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next interview we have.
So what does it mean to be kind?
It means to help people out if they're down and to make their day because you don't know what they're going through.
Okay, how as a society can we be kinder to each other?
Opening doors for older women, for young ladies, and to be there for whenever they need something.
Okay, if you see an injustice, how would you respond?
I would try to address it with the teachers, let them know. If they don't do nothing, I try to see what I could do to fix a situation that person is in.
So a good point that he made was always, communicating with an adult whenever you see something. And as we said earlier, is we shouldn't have to handle it ourselves. We should put it in the hands of the adults so they can be able to handle it for us. And so many times they want to communicate with us, they want to know what's going on, but if we don't open the space for them to receive whatever we're going through.
Right, and if we just even if we just keep it to ourselves, we're not doing ourselves justice. And so one other thing he mentioned is that like this holding a door open for someone is like, not everyone has that mentality, but everyone should have that mentality. And I think if someone after watches this video, hold a door for someone, and it might like make them feel a bit better or spread a chain of kindness.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever I compliment girls on their nails or their hair or whatever, it just makes their face light up. And simple things like that or being kind in some type of way, it really does make that day. I know it does make mine. And try to be generous in any way that you can. It doesn't have to be random acts of kindness like we talk about. It could just be anything. Because I know some people like me sometimes have a hard time being generous. And it's not just giving of money. It could be a giving of time. It could be a giving of being in the presence of someone. So I feel like it's so many ways that you can give. And we should be open more to being generous and kind, to other people.
So we've gotten the inside view of what it looks like from a student's perspective. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the staff members from Galena Park ISD.
What does it mean to be kind?
Kindness to me is all about how you treat others, both how you talk to them as well as how you treat them and what you do for them. But more importantly, I want to point out that kindness is also about how you treat yourself. I think it all starts at home, and the way that you are with yourself sets the foundation for how you treat other people around you. So leading a life of acceptance, even when you don't understand or don't agree, and empathy, I think are the things that really set the tone for both how you treat yourself and others. So that's kindness to me.
100%, yes, could not agree more. Second question, how as a society can we be kinder to each other?
As a society, I think there are many, many, many things that we could do to be kinder to each other. But I really believe in small, random acts of kindness, doing something to put a smile on somebody's face. You never know what people are going through. You never know what the people around you have endured just to get to where they are. So ask yourself, what are the small things that I can do to make a big impact in someone else's life? So if that's community service, if that's finding a charity to donate to, just paying it forward, I think are small things that we can do to make a big change.
Good answer, good answer. Last question, if you see an injustice, how will you respond?
I am a firm believer in if you see something, say something, but beyond that particular injustice, it's more important to me that we are informed and educating ourselves. So that's what we can do when we see injustices. Read articles, find out what's going on in the news, learn about those different things that you may not understand all that well, and have those difficult conversations with people around you that don't agree with what you agree with, that don't feel the same way that you do, that don't look like you. I think that, in addition to, of course, saying something as soon as you see something, can make a world of a difference in the society that we live in today.
So a point I want to bring up is when she said about going to articles and educating yourself and having those difficult conversations, because I feel like for me is like I mentioned it later, but anyway, keep going. I really had to educate myself when it came down to bullying because I didn't know anything about it, especially when, like I said, it's so normalized. So you don't know what it's about, and then having conversations with my mom and my family about what I went through and how they observed it and how they saw it, and then reaching out to nonprofits and listening to their story and them listening to mine and being able to relate to each other and learn that there's variations. It's not just cyber, it's not just verbal, it's so many, and people are attacked in so many different ways. And we need to have those conversations about it and be able to be sympathetic, but to also be like, okay, I'm gonna fight with you. I'm gonna stand with you. And that's why when I created my workshop in August, I called it Standing Together Against Bullying, because we all need to stand together against issue that hinders so many people from all ages.
Right, absolutely. And one key takeaway that I really liked with what she said is that you need to learn to be kind with yourself before you can be kind with others. So if you learn that small how to care and be kindness to yourself, then that will really take you a long way as well.
Yeah, because for me, I am very hypocritical. I'm very judgmental of myself, and sometimes I have a hard time not being judgmental of other people. But so many times I learned that, like, whenever I'm done something in my life, I want people not to judge me. So I have to show that same grace to someone else when they're going through that exact same situation, because I would want the same for me as well.
Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in our two special guests, Miss Moten and Miss Marsh. Hey everyone, we're back with two special guests, Miss Moten from North Shore Middle School and Miss Marsh from Woodland Acres Elementary School.
So Miss Marsh and Miss Moten, please tell us a little bit about yourselves and your profession.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Moten. I'm at North Shore Middle School as a counselor. So at our campus, I work with 7th and 8th grade students. And as a counselor, my role is to support them, what their needs are, identify their needs and help them and support them. A lot of it's schedules, that's at the beginning and the end of the year, schedules. There's some behavioral health that we help the students with. We help them make age-appropriate decisions. We help them soften conversations with their parents and their friends, or maybe their boyfriends or girlfriends. So we help with a lot of social issues, academic issues, and career and college issues, situations.
Miss Marsh, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I am a proud elementary counselor at Woodland Acres Elementary School, and I've been a counselor for almost 17 years at the elementary campus. And what we work on at all elementary schools is we work on basically preventative counseling, which is introducing concepts and values to students, and we do that in a number of ways. Elementary is often marked by special celebrations and holidays like the 100th day, or we have a lot of character dress-up days. So that's the fun part of my job.
How do you teach kindness in elementary schools?
So, kindness in elementary school. When you enter elementary school, it is usually your very first encounter with a counselor. So what we do is what we like to call preventative counseling. So we get students before everything happens to them. So kindness in elementary is taught by example. We have our World Kindness Day, we do words of wisdom each morning, but it all goes back to what you first learned in kindergarten, to treat others the way you wish to be treated. To keep your hands and feet to yourself, all those basic rules you learned in kindergarten, that's where kindness starts in elementary.
Okay, so this question is for the both of you. I just wanted to ask, what do you think kindness means to a lot of students, or what ways can we show kindness?
So I think kindness is often given the student. Sometimes it's mistaken for being soft or weak, but that is not what kindness is at all. Kindness is being generous. It's being friendly. It's giving of yourself. And I think that students, that's why we give examples. So the biggest example we give is if you have a friend that drops their cookie, you have one or two choices. You can laugh at them that, oh, hey, ha, 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 you don't have your cookie, or you can give them half of your cookie. So you're giving them something without getting anything in return. Now, when you tell this to a 5 and a 6-year-old, they're like, but I don't want to give them my cookie. And this is where you show them, but this is what kindness is. When you want someone to give you their cookie, or half of their cookie, if they drop their cookie, so it's by showing them by example.
So in preparing for this interview today, I had to reflect, and I came to the realization that kindness is a much more stronger word than we give it credit for. And kindness is totally different than being nice. What I found is a kind person will stand up for the person who can't speak for themselves, or not just can't speak, or maybe just unable to speak for themselves in that moment. A kind person will stand up for something or someone in a respectful way, because kindness and respect goes together. They will stand up. They're not afraid to stand up, even if they know it's going to cause a conflict.
That's good. That's good. So how can we live different in a world now with so much social media being our main focus? And how can we show kindness, that exact kindness, through social media?
I think we can teach students in the secondary, like middle school and up, to, when they're posting their fun pictures and their videos and when they're going live, make sure you show your friends and families in a good light. You know, show the best of them. Don't show them doing something foolish that can come back, you know, and haunt them one day. But show them in a good light. Post good things about people. Post about causes that can help society as a whole. And be careful with their words. You know, use your words, your academic words, but you can also translate them into age-appropriate words and hip words or whatever. Yeah. But just be very careful on social media, but make sure you show kindness by spotlighting people in a good way.
And I think that's good, because in our generation, we call this thing called cancel culture, where that once somebody does something wrong, you're canceled, or they don't listen to you, or they don't respect you as much. And I think it's good what you said about standing up for other people, because sometimes those people that they might be canceling might be going through a lot.
Exactly.
That they don't see. So I think that's really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what are different, this is for both of you, what are different lessons about kindness that middle school teachers and administrators can implement to hope that students can take it on in high school as well?
I'll take it from the middle school. So we piggyback off of elementary. Like elementary introduce kindness, the word kindness, they do, you know, kindness activities. In middle school, we apply what they've learned. So we're taking it up a notch. Like for September, we apply that kindness to make sure we take time to acknowledge the different cultures that we're celebrating. Like this March, we're taking the time to acknowledge Women's History Month. September, I'm sorry, I meant to say Hispanic Heritage Month. February, we do Black History Month. But we take time throughout the year to acknowledge different cultures, different people, their contributions to our community, and going back to showing people in a good light. And so that kindness could be carried on.
So
Okay, do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
So what we start in elementary is that we start with like World Kindness Day. And it sounds very silly, but it's a day that you wear a cardigan, very similar to what Mr. Rogers did. Now the reason we do that is because to just jog the memory of students. So to say, hey, do you remember that day that you all wore a sweater? Well, you wore a sweater because it was World Kindness Day, and then this is Mr. Rogers. And then a lot of my pre-K and kinder and first group, they know about Daniel Tiger. So it's all about tying in their previous, what we hope they have their previous knowledge into what is kindness, and then molding it. And so that when they do go to middle school, the middle school teachers and counselors can go, do you remember when you did such and such? And even if they didn't have a counselor, even if they show up at a Galena Park middle school first day, have never seen a counselor, have never gone to a Galena Park school, they're going to know in Galena Park, this is what we practice. We practice words of wisdom. We go back and we remind our students that they should be as kind in person as they are on the internet.
Right.
And a lot of our babies, they go back to the anonymity of the internet. Well, nobody knew it was me. No, somebody knew it was you, and you knew that it was you. And if it's not something that you can't say in front of your grandmother or your mother, or you can't say, you shouldn't say it in person, and you should definitely not say it in the cyber world. So it's just like the beginning of everything that they practice in middle school, and that we hope they take with them into high school and into the rest of their lives.
And I think that's good, because so many times we think like, stuff you do in elementary, and as you get older in middle school, oh, it's just childish. But you look back and you gain so much wisdom, because like sometimes you need encouragement or words of wisdom, especially when it's tough or it's difficult. And some people like might think it's funny, but it really helps you to push yourself beyond your measure or get through difficult times, especially something like cyberbullying or any type of bullying. So I think that's really good that y'all educate them from a young age to go on to do so much more.
Okay.
And so, for example, most elementary students don't have social media. So what factors, or what are you, the counselors, administrators, and teachers doing to like enforce that kindness online?
So you think they don't have social media, but you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised about 7-year-olds. They don't have social media, but they play a lot of games. So they play Roblox, or they play Minecraft, and they play with other friends. And these are open forums where they can communicate. And if they are on a team and the team doesn't do right, they have no problem spilling out words that they would not say in front of their counselor or their teacher. So it goes back to carry yourself, no matter where you are, the same way you would as if you were here in this seat. And that's what we tell them. And when we tell them, hey, we know you have a Roblox account, or we know you have a Fortnite account, they're like, what? No, I don't.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I can pull it up. I think you do. So they don't necessarily have social media. They're not on Instagram. I hope not. Some are. They're not on Instagram or Facebook, but they do have access to social media, and they do have access where they open themselves up. And so in the elementary, our communications department does a really great job of introducing cyber lessons and cyberbullying, and we give it to the parents as well, because at the elementary level, it's a lot of parental involvement. But also with them, we try to make them as accountable as we can by just letting them know that we know what they don't know, what they don't know that we know.
Right.
As high school kids and students, what can we do to instill that kindness and that build off that foundation that we're once taught at a young age?
So I think in high school, I think it becomes very difficult, because at the core of kindness is basically doing something for someone and not getting anything in return.
Right.
You're not, and that's a very hard, I think as humans, it's a hard concept for us to reconcile, that we're going to give something and we may never get it back. But what I like to tell my students is, you're not going to get it back today, but maybe one day someone else can give it back to you. Now, what I tell them they can give the most of is themselves. It's just to be patient. To be patient and kind with themselves, and to also be patient and kind with others. And I think for high schoolers, I think that's the biggest thing. I think they need to be patient. Be patient with themselves and know that they're not going to conquer the world in a day. And be patient with others, and that others may not move as fast as they're moving.
And that's really good, because I am that student. I do not have patience. Like, sometimes I will want something and I'm like, come on now, give it back to me. And especially like when you said that you can't conquer the world in a day, sometimes I be wanting to conquer the world in a day, Miss March. So I be wanting to so bad, but I have to know, like, be patient, everything.
We talk about being kind to others, but it starts with being kind to yourself.
Right.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's what I would most want my high school students that have left elementary and gone to middle school. My high schoolers, especially my early college babies, you guys are on a course where they want you to finish everything early. And I completely understand that, and that's great, but you're still a child. Yeah. You should still be enjoying the things of a 15, 16, 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's just to be kind to yourself. I think once you're kind to yourself, you can understand being kind to others. And that's what I would most want.
I think as far as high schoolers are concerned, at that level, I believe that you have developed the words to express a need for change in something maybe. You are at that point in your life where you can identify a need, and maybe you can talk to someone who can maybe help you like resolve that need, not just for yourself but for other people. You know what I mean? And that could become a movement in itself. Like right now during COVID, there's probably a lot of need on the campus. So it just takes one student to speak up and express that need to a teacher or a faculty member and see what they can do to help you try to resolve it or minimize it for others.
Okay. And I also want to ask you, do you feel like kindness is an act or a feeling?
I think, very good question. I had a debate with a discussion with a coworker earlier, and we came to agreement that it's definitely an act. It's an act. It can bring on good feelings, but kindness is an act. You actually have to do something to show kindness. That just the word show, meaning you have to do something. It's definitely an act.
And I would also have to agree with what you said earlier, that sometimes as we get older, we pick the cause that we like. And I feel like for me, earlier this year, I did a workshop on bullying and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, for the longest, I had dealt with verbal when I was in elementary. And I didn't know how to communicate it.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to, really talk about it until, it's, surfaced and it started to affect me internally. So I think that's really good how you said it, because sometimes when you're young, you don't know how to express all of your emotions. And as you get older, you evaluate yourself. Oh, well, I have this comparison issue. I have this insecurity, or because I went through this, I want to stand for it. And it's good that you're educated, because like me, I didn't know anything about any type of bullying or that it could be called that, because it's so normalized and people don't know how to pinpoint the issue. So when I realized, okay, this is an actual issue, I wanted to make a change. So I think that's really good that y'all teach them from a young age.
Right, and I agree with you that bullying has been normalized. And I think it begins, not to place blame on anyone, but I am the youngest child of 5. If I look back, if anyone came into my house when I was younger, they're like, oh, you were definitely bullied. But that's just the way my siblings how we carried on. I didn't think I was bullied. It was just like, okay, that's just what we did. So in our house, it was normal. And I think that's part of what we're dealing with today. Children are taking routines and habits out of the home and are just honestly doing it at school, but their intent is not to bully. You know what I mean?
That's just probably what they're around.
Right.
So with kindness, when you see something online, like a comment, how can we stop being a part of the joke or the rudeness?
Oh, you have to speak up. I think we have to stop using the like button as just an automatic reply, just so they can say, oh, Ms. Moten liked it, so she agrees with me, she's on my team. No, we have to tell our loved ones the hard things. We have to tell them when they're wrong, and explain it. And I also think we have to hear people out before we respond too quickly. But definitely if it's wrong, if it's insulting someone or something, we definitely have to speak. You may not have to call them out on social media because that can cause a storm in itself.
Yes.
But you may want to pick up the phone or text them or FaceTime, however you communicate, but definitely address the issue.
Ms. Marsh, would you like to add anything?
I think the best thing for that, what she said was right on point, but the best thing to that is to bear witness and to go ahead and put yourself in that position. Would you like that? And it goes, again, right back to everything you learned right when you first entered school, to treat others the way you wish to be treated. If you posted a picture of yourself where you thought you looked fantastic and somebody posted you looked like, day old trash, you wouldn't feel great about it. So it's just putting yourself in that position and to bear witness and to think, how would it make me feel? And like she said, it starts very small. It starts very small, like, hey, that's not cool. And I understand the idea of cancel culture, but I think it takes the rhetoric too far. It's just an easy, let's just get rid of that. No, let's not get rid of that. Let's see, where did that come from? Are they bringing something from their own culture? Are they bringing something from their own house? Where did that come from? How can we help that person? Canceling that person or that act or whatever isn't going to make it any better for anyone else, and especially not that person. You have to find out what, I guess that's part of being a counselor, what made you want to do this? What made you say this? And there are so many things that they say that I was young, I didn't know. If you didn't know, well, let's figure you out. Let's help you know. I think it starts with that. Like she said, it starts with a lot of things. And you don't have, like she said, the words, you don't have the words cognitively until you are a middle or high schooler. And it is hard. And what you said, what you shared with us, that's a lot of students. They don't have the words to tell you how they feel. They just know they don't feel good. And what is happening to them. So that's why I said you have to bear witness. So that when someone else shares that with you, you're like, I know exactly how you feel. Or I can understand where you're coming from. And I think that's just the easiest thing to do is to, again, it goes back to being patient. Like Ms. Moten said, I went back and I thought about it and I reflected, and they go hand in hand. There's no way that they don't.
Most definitely, because, sometimes, like you said, it takes time for people to be able to communicate, because not everybody is the same as communication. Like, some people are completely open, some people are closed off. And I feel like also too is something somebody always says is, and I'm learning too, that you always have a choice. Like, no matter where you come from or what you've been through, you have a choice to want to be better, like for yourself. Because some things that I've been through that's been in my family, I'm like, okay, that's my family, that doesn't define me.
Right.
Because I'm my own person. And you learn that even as you're taking your next step and being a kid or being in elementary. So man, y'all had some good topics to talk about, but I want to thank you both for coming. I'm so grateful that y'all had so much insight and so much advice, because even as a high schooler, I'm still learning a lot of these things that y'all are teaching these kids, so I'm extremely grateful. And so now we want to say goodbye to all of you watching and goodbye to y'all, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.